Hello and welcome to the Crypto Jungle. My name is Baloo. I am notorious for technical difficulties, so sorry if you're having to tune back in with the news stream, but we're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're trying to find support. Let's not do the intro for too long. Let's just jump right into the action. So we're taking a look at Bitcoin on the 4-hour. So we're trying to determine if we're in support here. So typically with the Wyckoff method, you don't want to front run these ideas too early. You want to give a lot of time for the price candles to really develop. But if I was to speculate on what is occurring here, I think we had our basically our preliminary support. We came to our seller's climax and we're now working on the automatic rally. So the difference between the seller's climax and the automatic rally, that's going to be the new trading range that we're going to be interpreting. So until those price candles develop, there's nothing to do. You know, if you're a day trader, you can play a little bit of the momentum and the finer nuances of the candles as they print. But if you're the type who is an investor, if you're the type that is looking to make an entry to the long side for price appreciation and continuation of the market, then you're in a no trade scenario currently. We just need to let this stuff kind of develop. So that's what we're waiting for. I do think that this is going to be the conclusion of the automatic rally. We might get one little push up right around this level right here at around $40,000 to $42,000. I think that this would be a likely area of a rejection back down. I say rejection, but it's needed. You know, we're trying to set a trading range. Until we define the range, there's going to be no confidence in the market. And if there's no confidence, there's going to be no supply shock. If there's no supply shock, demand can't take over and price appreciation can't happen. So it's needed. We need to come back down to some lower levels and prove support in order to bring confidence that this is indeed a bottom. So it is what it is. If I zoom out a little bit, we can kind of take a look at a price channel. So this is where the failure happened. You know, this is where the high, the lower low, and the lower high came in. So I want to kind of make note to some of these levels here so that we can kind of interpret the price channel that we're currently in. And I think it's going to look something along the lines of this. You know, we kind of fell out of the channel a little bit. We're currently trying to break back inside of the channel. We got above it, failed, and now we're trying to determine support. So, this has a lot of confluence to it. Not only does this have confluence for our theory of it needing to come back down and test, there's actually a lot of support to show that we may come back down and test for a higher low, which would be fantastic. If we got a higher low here on our test, higher than this low on the seller's climax, we're in a very good spot. We're in a very good position, and that will probably also present itself in a bullish divergence in the RSI as well. So we're kind of front running ideas here. We're kind of just deciding on, we're trying to dictate the future and look at what the possible probabilities would be, which is not advised. You have to react to the present candles as they are presented to you. But we can kind of have expectations as to where we think price levels will kind of equalize. So that's kind of what I'm looking for right now inside of Bitcoin. So let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance, BTC.D, and see how that is kind of progressing. So I do have targets in the Bitcoin dominance chart right at around 50%, 52 to 54%. Let's go to a higher time frame here. We don't need the RSI. And let's just make it a little cleaner with the area chart. I think that we've got a lot more room to go. Now, where have I gotten this level? I've gotten this level just based off of previous rallies and previous cycles. You know, we had a huge meltdown. This huge meltdown in Bitcoin dominance is where we got our 40% target. And then off of that was this rally right here. So this measured move from here to here, it brings us from 40 to 50%, give or take. You know, Bitcoin dominance, it's just a measure of health. It's a tool that traders use to make decisions as to how to allocate their portfolio. If this continues to rally, you're going to want to just stick in the Bitcoin that you have in your portfolio. If your portfolio is fully exposed to altcoins, this is not the scenario that you really want to see. But if you have a healthy allocation of Bitcoin, which I recommend that everybody does if you are going to be investing in cryptocurrency, then you're going to be fine. We're going to see a lot of that liquidity shift hands and head back into BTC. Let's take a look at the total market cap. Total USD, I don't need that. Nice bounce off of total market cap. Let's get our candles back on here. Huge demand tails. Just really nice to see the demand here on the 3-day. Let's take a look at the daily. Nice bounce on the daily as well. You know, we're definitely showing support. Now, we can't get too carried away here. We can't get ahead of ourselves. You know, we could very well just end up at a lower high and continue the downtrend. You know, that's not what I'm thinking from a macro perspective, but that's very much so in the cards as a possibility that we need to entertain at this point, because we do have some highs to break out. We do have to get above some of these areas of resistance, and until we can get above them, we're not out of the woods yet. So please be careful out there. Make sure that any new position is closely monitored. Stop losses are close. Everything is kind of you know, willing to be let go of quickly. You know, keep your stop. If you get a good entry, maybe, you know, move your stop to something a little tighter than what you typically would if you were doing a longer term swing trade. These are the types of things that you want to consider when you're in these type of market conditions. So that's total. Let's see what that looks like as far as just the altcoins, total 2. Not as good. Not as good. So you see how on total we kind of had our low and then we came down for our equal low. On the altcoin space, altcoins are weaker, but that's kind of fair because they were so much stronger than Bitcoin for a long time that their overvaluation has just overcorrected to the downside, and we do have a lower low here. So proceeding with caution on that one. We did find support back here, which is kind of the last area where things made sense as far as altcoin valuations. So do we need to come back down and test? I think it's likely. I think that there are further tests that are in front of us, so we do need to take those into consideration as well. But yeah, you know, it's all just about collecting data right now. Don't if you're a long-term investor, if you're a long-term swing trader, it's really not the climate for new positions. You know, if you're a little bit more aggressive, volatility is here. So for those who are day traders, we have the volatility, and volatility is really the name of the game. If you are a short-term trader, you don't really care what the direction is as long as it's moving multiple points. So yeah, let's take a look at some of the top alts. Let's move it over to Ethereum. Ethereum testing nicely. We got a nice test back here. It's holding up, it's bouncing off. Again, I think we can come back down and test it again somewhere around the $2,000 mark. Things are very volatile right now. Yeah, the chart that I'm more interested in with Ethereum is actually the ETH BTC chart. And I have a sneaky suspicion, this is just a speculation of mine, but I have a sneaky suspicion that the Bitcoin chart going forward is going to have a lot more validity in the space than we currently have with it. So, you know, right now, if you've been in the group, you know, since the introduction of Binance futures and, you know, the traditional finance having derivatives and their alpha being the US dollar setups, as far as, you know, the clean breaks of support and resistance, have just made way more sense on the US dollar pair. And up into the euphoria, we were starting to see more clarity on some of the coins in their Bitcoin comparative. And that's very reminiscent to what we saw in 2017. 2017, we got, you know, everything was charted in Bitcoin. Now, a lot of that had to do with the fact that we didn't have as many cash settled derivatives in the system. But it also had to do with the fact that people were really excited about their portfolio in terms of Satoshis and wanted to make sure that their trades would actually yield them more Satoshis and not necessarily more dollars. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as we move forwards here with the duration of the remainder of the cycle, if indeed it does confirm to continue, how much weight the Bitcoin pair has on these trading pairs in terms of those support / resistance setups that we look for as traders. Maybe we won't ever get it as clean as we had in 2017, but I'm liking this bounce here. So You know, I can't really make this stuff up. I had this target here on Ethereum at 0.08 BTC per ETH, and and my other target was 0.05 BTC per ETH. Now we blew through my first target without much resistance at all, and this was an incredible rally inside of Ethereum, just an incredible rally. Hit my target, retraced, and bounced off of my other target. So these targets are very much so valid. I think we're range bound in this area between these two targets. So we're gonna have to watch how that develops, and I think any entry down here at around 55,000 Satoshis per Ethereum would be probably a good spot to make an entry, and I'll be monitoring that area to see if we do get a test and a bounce from that point. So that's what I'm looking for. Cardano is another one of those that was kind of going through a transitional period as far as its relevancy on the US dollar chart. So Cardano, man, what a whipsaw. I hope you are in hodl mentality on this one, because it's really hard to hold on to Cardano if you are an investor here. Very volatile, and we're gonna have to see how this kind of plays out, but we are ticking back up. What I like more about Cardano is the Bitcoin pair. So the Bitcoin comparative on Cardano actually looks very nice. You know, it's just so much cleaner. It's so much cleaner on the Bitcoin pair. I really do think that you know, if you're invested in Cardano and your alpha is USD, that's fine, but I would argue that you should be looking for the setups on the Bitcoin pair, because it's just so much cleaner. It's so much cleaner. Like, we had our rally, we met up with our resistance, we broke through that resistance, and we broke through that resistance, and we came back and tested it just beautifully. It's a completely different chart. It is a completely different chart, and it's showing a lot more health in terms of its ability to get you more Bitcoin than it is showing you its ability to get you more US dollars. So don't lose sight of the big picture here. You know, if you are a Bitcoin hodler, your end game should be, you know, we don't think in terms of dollars anymore. At least a small percentage of your portfolio should be allocated for that. You know, when hyper Bitcoinization finally occurs, the dollar isn't going to be compared to other key assets. You know, right now it's crude oil USD, it's gold USD, it's you know, the S&P 500 USD. I'm looking for the days where it's, you know, crude sats, you know, S&P 500 sats. Those are the pairings that I want to see in the world before I'm cracking open my ledger onto my my true hodl position to kind of take profits there. Will that day ever come? I don't know. We'll see. But that's what I'm looking for. Cardano USD looks fine. You just got to zoom out and look at the log chart. All right, let's take a look at log. Yeah, we're seeing that if you're on, like, if you're looking at a lot of info on the daily or higher, like the 3-day chart, you should almost just start out on the log chart. But yeah, the logarithmic chart is pretty valid. Oh, did I just go back to BTC? USD. Let's go to log. It is choppy though, Shroomer. It is choppy. Like, this is an up thrust with, I would argue, a sign of weakness, but it's kind of tricky. I mean, we did up thrust and we are testing on top of the all-time high too. So it's wiki. Proceed with caution. There is a trade there for the brave for sure, as long as you know how to manage and put stops in place. But yeah, you know, it's definitely, there's something there. We're trying to break through the all-time high. Trying to break through the all-time high is actually, it's very hard. It's very hard to do. So you know, seeing a lot of participants, a lot of market participants willing to sell at those levels shouldn't come as a surprise. Has Cardano even gotten the smart contracts launched yet? I mean, God, speed it up. Charles, you're too slow, man. This whole world of crypto is developing beyond your ability to provide. Get on it. Get on it. People are tired of waiting for your bullshit. Get on it. Yeah, we could take a look at Avalanche. Avalanche, I don't really care about Avalanche, honestly. You know, it had some hype, and that hype kind of went away. And it's just a piss poor chart, if I'm perfectly frank here. You know, yeah, it's not a good chart. Really not. Best case scenario, we're looking at, you know, a reaccumulation here, but we got our up thrust, we got our up thrust, a sign of weakness, we got our up thrust after distribution. I don't know. And now we're working on an LPSY. I'd be looking for the possibility of cutting this one. Personally, I cut my Avalanche. Well, I didn't cut it. I still have some on the Avalanche ecosystem that I probably won't cut. But, you know, bullish case scenario, we're looking at a bump and run. But that's really going to be on the speculative side of things because nobody's using Avalanche. You know, you have to remember that... you know, what drives demand is people needing it. If nobody's trading on these decentralized exchanges that are on Avalanche, why the fuck do they need the token? If they're not using it, where's the demand? You know, then you're solely relying on speculation to a future that isn't here. So do kind of assess what it is that you're doing here. This to me looks like it's preparing for a bit of an LPSY. Let me zoom into the actual LPSY here and analyze the volume. So there's a ton of supply coming in here, but it's not resulting in, yeah, it's supply, it's not demand. It's not resulting in our ability to get out of here. Yeah, we'll have to see. There's a ton of supply right here. If the supply dries out and this curls over, I think it's an LPSY. Last point of supply. This curls over. Expect lower levels. You know, we are in that environment where a lot of people are willing to capitulate on the projects that may be perceived as having low value. For me, I think Avalanche is just, nobody's using it. Everybody's on Binance. There's two systems right now. We can speculate on the future, and if you're thinking long term, you're thinking long term. But here's the thing: people are using Ethereum. They're now more using Polygon on top of Ethereum as a layer 2, and they're using Binance Smart Chain. That's it. Like, I love the Solana ecosystem, but as far as market participation and an actual driver of demand, people are using Binance Smart Chain and they're using Ethereum. And which coins are in the top 5? Ethereum and BNB. Listen to the market. Big cup, big cup, big cup. Yeah, you know, the cup and handle is valid. It's one of the patterns that I like more. So we're talking about Cardano here. It's one of the patterns that I like more, but what I think about cup and handles is it's just defining a very strong area of resistance. And that's what I like most about it, is when you have a very clearly marked sign of resistance and you get a breakout of that resistance, those are the best trades. Those are the best trades. That's like what we're trying to do with Wyckoff, is define that range bound condition where we get that breakthrough. When we get that breakthrough on that resistance, now we've got a really good trading setup. So the problem with it is you can have a cup and you can have a handle, and you can have a handle, and you can have a handle, and you can have a handle. It's not always just a cup and handle, because we'll just battle with that resistance. But I think Cardano is above. Let's just revisit that real quick, just real quick. Zoom out. In doubt, zoom out. Because, you know, we had an epic cup and handle. Yeah, so I don't even, this is just a cup. I guess you didn't say cup and handle. Big cup, yeah, big cup. So it's not even a cup and handle, but, you know, we've seen this in other assets that just got annihilated. I feel so sorry for anybody that's bullish on SXP, because SXP wrecked people and then it brought them back in and then it wrecked them again. Like, this was, you know, if we just rewind the clock here, this is basically where Cardano is right now. You know, give it some time, and I mean, we're in a capitulation event, so it, you know, it's kind of unfair to make those comparisons because they're in a different spot. But yeah, you got to see how this develops. Do we need a cup in Cardano? You know, we're above the resistance right now, but it doesn't mean that we can't come back down and give another swing at it, and that would be the cup, or sorry, the handle. How is looking at LOC lock trip? Really don't want to be looking at shitcoins right now, you know, and shitcoin for me is anything below the top 20, honestly, right now, just because the market, we're rotating into BTC. The market is rotating and reallocating. We're in Tether and we're in BTC. So the altcoin performance, especially on the more speculative side, you know, I don't know. It looks pretty, you got a little bit of bullish divergence here. We're on the 3-day, but we've also got some bearish divergence too. How do you increase BTC holdings? You buy BTC. You go to the currency pair. If you're holding an altcoin, go to the BTC currency pair and sell, and you'll have BTC. Yeah, I mean, it's on a swing high for now. We'll have to see. I don't really have much. All of my bias right now is bearish on altcoins. And that's because we're finally getting this readjustment. We're getting a reshuffling in the market. I'm not bearish on them long term per se, but I'm definitely bearish on them short term. And I think that altcoins can bleed more while Bitcoin finds support. And then if Bitcoin finds support and starts pumping, altcoins are going to dump and it'll just be the final like capitulation event inside of the altcoins. So this market can be a bitch. If you don't hold Bitcoin, if you are not an investor that holds Bitcoin, in my opinion, you are making a mistake. In my opinion, you are making a mistake. And I have yet to be proven wrong on that. Do you think Matic will retrace to its previous low candle body? I'm not sure. Let's take a look at Matic. Matic's not a great one to get into right now. Matic just mooned. I think it's going to consolidate for a while. I think Matic is fundamentally a very strong project. But let's see what our indicator is telling. Trim. No. It could probably go up more. I could see it going up in price more. I don't want to be on the record as saying that it can't do that. I just really don't think it's the appropriate project to be getting into right now because it's on such an extension. It's really on a tear. So you have to be very careful. You know, we could be range bound here for a while. I think it could probably come back down to $1 easily, probably even 90 or 80 cents personally, but that's my bearish opinion. Listen, Matic is an incredible project. If you don't understand layer 2 solutions, they are going to be able to scale ETH. Even when ETH 2.0 is here, you're going to want these layer 2s to help with scaling. It's so essential to the success of Ethereum to have these layer 2s here. So fundamentally speaking, really, really bullish, but we're hearing news about Matic. You know, be careful when you hear news, bullish news. This person's holding, that person's holding. We're on a huge extension and there's people pushing the news. Why are they pushing the news? Because they're trying to push the strength. Why are they pushing the strength? Because they're trying to sell. That's my opinion. .btc. I'm new here. I heard you mention Wyckoff. So cryptos respect the Wyckoff schematics. I would argue that out of all the markets available to trade for you currently is Wyckoff is the most applicable because Wyckoff works best in a free market. And, you know, what comes along with a free market is manipulation, by the way. If you look at the S&P 500 and the equities, like just everything goes up in a linear fashion. There's a lot of manipulation. There's a lot of quantitative easing. There's a lot of capital injection in those markets and kind of a different type of manipulation. Whereas in crypto, it's a much more brutal form of manipulation that really takes advantage of the retail traders. And there's a huge boom and bust cycle inside of crypto. So that is the Wyckoff method. You know, the Wyckoff method is, you know, buy in doom, gloom, and despair, and sell in peak euphoria. And, you know, the theory of the composite man, the theory of the composite operator is the man behind the curtain pulling the strings and manipulating the market. So crypto is a free market. Wyckoff is most applicable, in my opinion, here in this market. And it's the best method that I've found to trade. Yeah, let's take a look at DOT. DOT BTC. Yeah, I'd say it's a whipsaw. This is an up thrust. Proceed with caution. Up thrust to a lower low. Sign of weakness. I'm not a fan of DOT. I'm not a fan of, you know, I'm not a fan of DOT really, because again, it's one of those projects that's not really doing anything super revolutionary just yet. I know that they're going to build some stuff, but I feel like everybody's just in DOT because of all the token launches and the Polka starter system, and just, you know, it's all just ways to speculate and make money. Whereas when you look at a project like Ethereum that's offering Aave, Compound, you know, the swaps are everywhere because people are trying to trade, but you know, they've got a more complete ecosystem that's not reliant on speculation. I feel as though a lot of the products inside of Polkadot and even the Solana ecosystem, it's really reliant heavily on speculators, and speculators are willing to jump at a moment's notice. And you're seeing this jump right here. So we got a nice sign of strength. You know, we came into that, but it turned out to be an upthrust. So you're going to have to wait and see how this one recovers, but I'm not convinced on it from a macro perspective. I think that, you know, there's some rougher seas ahead potentially. That's just my opinion, and that's my opinion based on what I'm seeing in the charts today. If things change, if we get a different type of consolidation that really shows a range that could be looking a little bit more like accumulation, then that opinion can very much so change. But this is very volatile. This is very volatile. People are taking opportunities to sell. What would be a target for BTC.D on the rotation? I'm thinking 50%, but that doesn't mean that we can't have an alt rally in the middle of that. I think 50 to 52% before we get back to the attention into the altcoins. No leverage or alts? Currently, no. I mean, I've got some long-term spot alt positions that I'm holding, but is now the time for leverage? I really don't think so. You should not be in leverage right now. No, it's not the time for leverage. There will be a time for leverage. Now is not it. And when I say leverage, you know, 2x. You're above 2x, you don't know what you're doing. Or at least you're taking on, you better know what you're doing from a risk management point of view. Matic is now supported by Mark Cuban. Yeah, that's because it's a layer 2 and Mark Cuban is bullish on Ethereum. And, you know, he didn't make it. You know, you can go and look at his wallet. If you want to know what Mark Cuban's holding, go find Mark Cuban's wallet address and look. Just go look at what he's holding. He's holding Matic. So everybody's excited. But that's because he understands Ethereum and he gets it. So he bought Matic because he understands that Matic is needed as the layer 2. And did he just buy it? No, he bought it well before it pumped. And now everybody's excited because we're all digging up all the stories. So if you want to buy Matic here, you're going to be waiting a while. And it's going to be volatile. Big Money left the market. I think Big Money did a liquidity test, but you know, we'll see. There is an influx in the on-chain data showing you know, increase in Bitcoin balances on whale accounts. But you're right. You know, if we take a look at Bitcoin, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Let's go the BLX actually. And we do some hindsight analysis. Let's go to the log chart. Moon. That was a joke from another stream. You know, if we take a look, and let's go to the 3-day chart and get a wider view here of the bull run we're in thus far. You know, we're at the bottom of the range currently. I think we could probably revisit, but you know, look at the influx of the supply right here. So, you know, rally up to here. I think a lot of people exited here. You know, a lot of the big money, they exited at around $40,000. Some of them looked for opportunities here, but we just curled over. We curled over. The rallies were weakening, the rallies were shortening, the reactions were gaining more momentum, all while the demand was waning. Demand was falling off. We were unable to carry forward at the top of the range with lower demand. And then we got our high, lower low, lower high, and our meltdown. People bought. This is a buying signature, okay? Don't think the big money is gone, because big money stepped in as everybody panicked. That's a high volume signature that exceeds the capability of retail, in my opinion. This is how the composite man works. We're seeing higher levels of the initial preliminary supply coming into the market right now. And I don't think we're done yet. I really don't. I think we might be on pause, but I certainly don't think we're done. We're looking at a month or two probably before we're back up at the levels that we dropped from. That's just my own opinion though. Okay, what else we got here? Just wondering what the intro song is? I actually don't know. I just changed my music today. Chart pig, oink. Welcome. Yeah, I just changed my music today, so I don't even know. All right, I got time for a little bit more, but you know, I'm really not looking at much here, people. It's just about damage control right now and trying to find those support levels. And I think we've found support. I mean, this is a lot. This tells a lot to me right here. Just like this is the COVID shakeout, setting the range right here. And we've respected all of these regression bands quite nicely. We'll probably get a rejection here at this band at around $40,000. You can see that here if we zoom into some smaller time frames. We'll probably reject here and come back down and test some of the lower levels again. We may even hug this for a month. Who knows? Crypto needs to die. Crypto needs to die before I get, you know, too excited. Yeah, it's all about BTC right now. I agree. This is the cycle. This is the rotation. You know, Bitcoin moves. People gain confidence. They invest in Bitcoin. They start making money in Bitcoin. They start to move that money into higher cap altcoins. Then we get more risk on and more risk on. People start making stupid money, which is what we saw before the shakeout. People were just buying the dumbest things and becoming millionaires. And that's peak euphoria. That's peak euphoria. Once you get to that peak euphoria stage, it's time to get into cash. It's time to limit risk. It's time to listen to the charts. Listen, you know, we had a high, we got a lower low, and we got a lower high. As this lower high was curling over to confirm, this was peak euphoria right here. It wasn't back here at the high, it was here on the LPSY. And that's when as soon as we started breaking down below this on this red bar here, it was time to cut it. It was time to take my cash positions. It was time to cover short. I'm very glad I did that. I closed my short a little too early. I came back down to here, closed it around the $40,000 mark. I could have definitely got some of this face melting move, but hey, you know, I was able to cover a lot of the position and I was happy to take that. What's a good way to spot a spring? Don't. Just allow the spring to print. You know, buying springs are very, very difficult. Don't try and buy a spring. Just allow the spring to print. The spring will break the bottom of the range. It'll come back inside the range and it'll confirm the bottom of the range, hold it as support, and you'll watch volume come in as the demand takes back over. Once you do that, if you get a creek jump, Now you've got a confirmation of a spring. If you're buying a spring, you need a lot of secondary tests in phase B. If you test the bottom of the range multiple times and then you break it down on low volume, you can take a risky position and you can buy a spring. But I always let my springs confirm. So I want to see it break, I want to see it come back in, I want to see it confirm and volume come in. Now I've got a confirmation of a spring. But yeah, don't try and front run them as a buying opportunity. Give up the bottom. Don't buy the bottom, don't sell the top. Just buy these confirmations, and the confirmations for a buy come at higher levels and the confirmation of a sell come at lower levels. Icon. Yeah, we'll do icon real quick. But again, you're not going to like what I have to say. Yeah, this looks like trash, you know. Buyer's climax, automatic reaction, op thrust, sign of weakness, op thrust after distribution / LPSY, breakdown, sign of weakness. Now we're barely going to even make it. I mean, we might make it back up to $1.60 for an LPSY, but watch this area right here. Have to watch this area. If we come up here and we bearish test with low volume, you got to snug those stops up for an exit. Or just exit. It's entirely up to you, but I usually let the market decide for me, so I'll snug a stop loss up underneath the consolidation, and if we break down, I'm out of the trade. Yeah, just be careful with this one. I hope you didn't buy the top. A lot of altcoins look like shit right now, and until they repair, we don't know what they're gonna do. You know, the best case scenario is we're range bound like everything else. So if we go back up for a bearish test around here, that would be bad. I would prefer if we stayed down here and reaccumulated. So if we reaccumulate for multiple months and then break up, now you've got a case that we could head up. But right now, looks like shit. I'm not going to take a look at NMR. My take on cryptos right now is high caps. Buy high caps, and even then you should just be buying Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin dominance. BTC.T. We are on a swing high, currently doing our swing low. The next move should be a swing high. As long as this is going up, don't even fucking think about altcoins, especially for new positions. If you're looking for new positions, absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you're looking to salvage existing positions, now we can talk. But if you're trying to look for new positions in altcoins right now when the rotation is going into Bitcoin, then you're missing the mark. You're missing the idea. You know, you're so consumed by the facts that altcoins make more money. They don't make any money while Bitcoin's making money. If Bitcoin is where all the attention is, and if Bitcoin is where all the demand is, your altcoin's not going to make any more money. It's not. In fact, in these current market conditions, your altcoin can lose money. So understand what's going on here, and don't try and look for altcoin positions right now. If you don't hold any Bitcoin, look for the Bitcoin setup. I really think that Bitcoin's undervalued overall, both in respect for what it can do and its current price. XRP is actually, out of all of the ones we've looked at today, I think XRP is the least shitty, and that's just mind-boggling to me that I'm saying that, because I am not a fan of XRP at all. But we're gonna have to see how this plays out. Let's go on to the, yeah, we're on the log chart. Let's go to the weekly actually. Let's take it off of log. Changed my mind, I don't like log. So we got our sign of strength on XRP. We've come down and we've retested the top of the accumulation range, and we're holding it on the weekly candles. Is this ready to go tomorrow? No, it's not. Is it a spot where an individual might want to campaign into more XRP? Arguably so. Arguably so. But I could also see us coming down to lower levels as well, near the area of the original breakout of the sign of strength. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't like XRP. So, you know, out of everything we've looked at today, this is one of the better ones. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. I know that XRP is kind of a very divisive coin. People either love it or hate it, but there's a trade setup here potentially. So proceed with caution. We could very well so head to lower levels. Here's the thing about being so close to the bottom of the range. These small little moves are massive. I mean, just to the top of the box is 20%. That's a big move down. And to the creek line, 40%. So don't think that this is a safe place to be. It's not. It's really not a safe place to be. But out of all the setups for potential profitable targets, XRP is one of the better ones that we're looking at. So it is what it is. All right, that's all the time I've got for today. If you guys enjoyed this content, please leave it a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And if there are any projects that you want me to take a look at, leave them in the comments section down below. I'll see if I can make it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to sign up and become a student to learn the Wyckoff method, we have an entire video library of on-demand video courses, as well as 3 class sessions per week. Immediately after the streams, we get into the virtual classroom. Fantastic community. Basically, if you have questions, we have answers, and it's really that simple. So sign up, links down below at thecryptojungle.com, and we will see you in VIP. That's all the time I got for today. Please trade safe. It is a jungle out there. Peace.